Today, President Obama unveils new regulations against power plant emissions.
And Portland Mayor Charlie Hales is at the White House to join in on that conversation. Alicia Esch going beyond the headlines to find out what we're doing to combat carbon emissions in Portland. Alicia?
And Ken and Jenny power plants are the largest major source of emissions in the U.S. And the president's new plan is aiming to cut carbon emissions by 32% by 2030. So I checked in with PGE about what they're doing now and going forward to cut down on our carbon emissions.
Many of our power plants run on fossil fuels, coal, natural gas. Burning those fuels releases carbon into the atmosphere, and carbon is a greenhouse gas emission.
Steve Korzen with PGE tells me while he does not have an exact figure for how much carbon emissions come from PGE overall, this graph gives a good depiction of their sources of energy and delivery last year. I'm told the company has been committed to reducing their carbon footprint well before the president's clean power plan, in particular when it comes to their coal-fired plant Boardman, which will cease all coal operations in 2020.
And once we've done that, we will have actually reduced our carbon emissions in 2020 below the level that they were in 2005 by a significant amount.
But that's still 5 years away, so I asked what else is being done now.
So PGE is already on a path to reduce carbon emissions. We're doing that through a number of different things, through promoting energy efficiency, through bringing more renewable power into our system, wind and solar, that don't emit carbon.
I also checked on what would happen to PGE if the president's plan is enacted to cut carbon emissions by 32% over the next few years. And I'm told if it happens, it'll be a process involving many players.
The state of Oregon will have to develop an implementation plan that will show how the state plans to meet the goals that the federal government sets out for us.
Really just a lot of hoops to go through with that. But Mayor Hales did release a statement prior to heading off to Washington, D.C. And in it, he talks about things saying in part that Portland gets nearly 2/3 of its electricity from coal and gas. So he and the others are really going to be pushing for the president and the EPA, we can't forget them, to set those national limits on greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah, you talked about the state level as well. There were carbon emission standards that were continued at the state level in the legislature this year as well.
Absolutely. He spoke with me a little bit, I should say, the PGE spokesperson about that as well. So these are things that are ongoing here throughout our state. So we'll see how it all comes out and keep everybody informed.
All right. Thanks, Alicia.